Hey guys, welcome to my Cactus Mastery series. Today we will do a major segment for the series. We will be sowing out. We will start sowing out and I will discuss everything that we need to consider before starting to sow out. So this is going to be the first big video on sowing out. I kind of moved the subject a little bit more away because it's a big subject, it's a huge subject, and I wanted to have time to do it right. And now I feel like we can do a good longer video here. So welcome to my Cactus Mastery series. I plan to post this one on the channel for free because, I mean, people need to see what I do. Yeah, but there's also like a supporter area. It's really just to support the channel, and I post stuff from that series all the time, also to give an insight into the series that I'm planning to do long term, and just to, I don't know, be nice. And yeah, so whatever you do, if you watch the videos that I'm posting that are available publicly, or the stuff in the supporter area, both is equally good, and that's my goal, right? So yeah, we start with sowing out today, and I'm here in the office, and I want to discuss what we need first. So we will talk about what is necessary to start sowing out. Most importantly, the seeds, cactus seeds, very important, and there's so much garbage on the market. Literal unviable garbage. So you need to be very careful about what kind of seeds you buy. I recommend you only buy from professional or semi-professional breeders, like the people who live the hobby. Sometimes they are able to afford to live from it, sometimes not, but they are living it every day. They stand for their product. They stand for the quality of their cactus seeds, and that means something. That means that your offspring has a good chance to be what is written on the label, and that is not the case when you buy like botanical seeds from like South America. You just never know if the name that is on the seed packet has been identified correctly or not. There are immense problems to identify plants in the wild for the people who collect the seeds, like the locals. Very often the botanical situation is chaotic, and the books are expensive. The people who live there around these plants and sometimes sell seeds, they don't follow like these expensive books. That's a lot of money over here, and it's even more in South America. So make sure that the seeds that you are buying are viable, because otherwise you constantly like question your methods. You aren't sure, and then you have a few seedlings that are sickly, like sickly looking seedlings that can also come from old seeds. Old seeds were a huge problem back in the days when I got started, when I got into cactus breeding. I remember buying from like wholesale sources, and the seeds were completely dead. Like I bought like 150,000 seeds, and they were all dead. Like I did not get one seedling from these seeds, and that was a major point in my life. Like in my career as a cactus dude, I said I want nothing to do with the botanical seed market. Names unreliable, identification unreliable, and then you know what? We're doing a separate video about this, but not now. We're sowing out now. I just want to say, get good quality seeds and make sure that they are worth your time and space and all. When you sow out and you buy bulk, like these larger amounts of seeds, very often the quality is not comparable to stuff that you buy in smaller quantities. But it really depends. You can find some true amazing things just randomly by stumbling over it. And I've had some seed lots that turned out insane, like where the seeds produced so much amazingness from just a bag of seeds. It's crazy. So yeah, I have a box of seeds that I brought. Let me get it, and then we will have a look and decide what we will do. Okay, so I brought these are dried seeds that I put on a paper towel. And this is a really good cross, and I've been keeping an eye on this cross for a while because I wanted to sow it out, but I wasn't really in the mood to sow out because I usually do that in winter. And I've had so many problems with all the seedlings from last year that I had, because like in between, when you get times where personal problems come in between, you have a hard time when you suddenly have like 200 containers of seedlings. So yeah, but I brought them here. This is just one cross, so I will just sow out maybe 1 or 2 containers. And yeah, you need seeds. Then you need little, I recommend these quadrangular containers because they can easily be put beside each other. Oh no. So, okay. Imagine you have them on the shelf in the greenhouse or outside, and you can put them in rows easily without problem. Nothing falls over, nothing wastes space because it's round. If you have some round, some quadru... There must be another word for this. Square, right? Square pots. I knew it. So yeah, square pots. And I wouldn't mix square and round pots because it wastes some space, a lot of it. And therefore I get these, and they are quite expensive. I bought 500 pots for 60 euro or something like that. And I was really disappointed because the prices have gone up insanely. Like since the last time I had bought them. And yeah, they are pretty expensive and the quality is often not good. So be careful about what kind of pots you buy, because some of them break easily when handled. And we are moving seedlings in and out of bags, out of these little plastic bags, which I will show you later. So they need to be handled, and some pots break easily. I could break this one just by pressing there. It's not the quality that I wanted to have, but it's the quality that I got. So yeah, then I brought sowing soil here. This is standard sowing soil, and it's pre-fertilized. I want to have a look at the contents and I'll read it to you. It has like peat, perlite a little bit, which I do not like. I wouldn't have put it in. Expanded clay, fertilizer, and calcium, I think. Yeah, and this is just the type of soil that you can use to sow out. Some of them have sand a little bit mixed in for better drainage, and I recommend that's not a bad thing. It just can't be a lot of sand. You cannot mix a sowing soil with more than, I don't know, 10% of sand. Otherwise, it gets too dry. But yes, a little bit of sand might not be a problem. So this is a bag that I bought last year, and I had it open for a while. So this should be you should boil some water and kind of get the soil to a point where it's clean from stuff like fungus gnats. Fungus gnats are a real problem, and the moment you have opened like a bag of sowing soil or any kind of soil, they get in. So that's often not a problem for a large plant that you have outside. But once you are sowing out in closed containers. So that's going to be a problem. So you should pasteurize, not even 100% pasteurize, but just give these little fungus gnats a hard time. And yeah, a little bit of boiled water on the soil before you use it, and it at least reduces the chance that there's fungus gnats in there. And again, when you have an open bag, it always happens that they will eventually come. So I recommend either using a fresh bag, a really fresh bag, and using it up, or protecting it very safely to make sure there's no openings anywhere, no little holes. And a lot of these bags already have holes, so you need to be careful. And yeah, because otherwise you start sowing out and you have these little fungus gnats in your closed container. And at that point you cannot open it up, because the humidity is necessary to keep the seeds alive, or the seedlings, or keep the germination active. Otherwise, the moment you take it out of the bag because you see fungus gnats, everything stops. And everything that had already started to come up will probably die, because a fresh cactus seedling cannot make it in normal conditions unless you spray it all the time. So yeah, let's get started. So I have the soil here. I just want to look at it. I want to show you the how it looks like. So first, let's move the camera. So this is how the soil looks like, and it should be boiled right now, because I'm sure eventually some containers would get problems. So yeah, it's very organic, and I feel like it's good for the seedlings. Like at the first stage of their life, this kind of organic medium will be all right. We switch later to something more mineral. But at this point, you have tiny seedlings that are super sensitive to drying out. So this will help, especially if you are not 100% secure in sowing out, because sowing out is very difficult. Even I have setbacks all the time. Okay. So when I get started, I want to say it's best to take the sowing soil directly out of the bag with the humidity level that is in there, because it's often a very good usable humidity level. Not always, but often. So what I do is I firmly press the soil into the pot. And the reason for that is that I do not want to have a loose soil that starts swimming, and things start swimming when I put in the water, which I will do later. If you put like the soil, if you do not compact it enough, it will just be so loose that it's constantly shaking. Every movement of the container, that you take the container, put it elsewhere, and you have a little bit of movement in there, that is just bad for the soil, for the seedlings, like ability to stand in the soil. So yeah, I put it together, but not too much. It shouldn't be so firm that a little root cannot grow into it anymore. It should just be a little bit firm, and that's enough. You at some point you just find the perfect like combination. And I also do not want to have, like, it is very important that the upper part of the soil in the container, that it doesn't become loose when you water. It would literally wash your seedlings out. It would wash the label out, and it would wash the soil out. So yeah, roots, seedlings, everything. So now what's this kind of size? Maybe it's written on there. Yeah. So these are 7x7x8. 7 times 7 times 8. 7 centimeters tall. No, 7 here, and 8 here. And that's, yeah, you can buy them in the size that you want. You can also buy them bigger. But I use a certain size of bag that I bought. Like I have a big box of these. And they have the right size. They could be a little bit bigger. Maybe for the next time I'm getting a number bigger. But I was just happy that I had something that when you put the seedlings in, and I will show you this. So you put the seedling into these bags, and these bags are necessary for inducing the germination. So you put it in. All right, you can close it. There's some room at the top, but later when you have seedlings and it falls over, it still holds the seedlings in place very often. When you are dropping a container of seedlings, it can be catastrophic. You can lose them all. Dropping a container of seedlings is a really bad thing. You can certainly reposition them and all, but I personally do not like to disturb seedlings. So when I have something in a closed container and I accidentally like flip it over, you can often put them back up and the seedlings are at the same position because they have a little bit of like protection from the tip. But you should probably get a little bit bigger because the seedlings will reach the roof very fast. However, I take them out pretty fast, so it's often not like this is not long term. This is not a long term solution. You are doing this to induce the germination, and you do it to like keep the humidity in and put them under a lamp. In my technique that I recommend, a really good grow lamp is necessary, and I really mean a good one because like not a super strong one, but one that has full spectrum, everything that is necessary to grow healthy seedlings. But we will talk about the lamp in another chapter. Right now we would just sow out and discuss everything around it. So this is the intro. Consider it the intro, and the whole the course is not only about sowing out. I will film the whole year. We are doing everything like at the pace that I'm having in my cactus shop, like not like in my nursery, whatever. Now I don't have a nursery in my garden. All right. So yeah, I have no interest to be in the cactus business because it's a hard job and there are so many regulations, and I want nothing to do with all these regulations. Just to sell plants or stuff, you have to be like in Europe. They give the plants a passport now. So yeah, I'm done with that. Thank you. I'm a big fan of the European Union, but I wouldn't want to have like a nursery in the future. Not a chance, because it's such a difficult niche already, and then you have to follow all these regulations like print a passport for every plant, and that's another subject that I will talk about. I have a lot of boiled up stuff that I want to talk about. So yeah, let's start. I brought a water sprayer. This is just water and a little bit of disinfectant, like 1.5% disinfectant. Peroxide and 1.5%, not too strong, nothing that will cause problems. I mean, it's not a problematic, like in that concentration, it's not dangerous to the cactus seedlings, but it still causes problems in the bag and all. It starts bubbling, and you don't want to overdo it. You just want to make sure that everything you put in there is a little bit disinfected. Not much. I mean, in the earlier days, people used a fungicide called chinosol in Europe, Germany. It was yellowish kind of fungicide. I never used it, but I know people who did. So yeah. Okay, I do not use fungicides. I just feel like it's not necessary. I mean, sure, I'm sure there are certain plants that are hard to grow that often have problems with fungicides. But my recommendation to avoid fungal infections, be better and work on yourself to avoid the things that trigger them. Because fungal infections don't happen from out of nowhere. They happen because something isn't right. I mean, even if it's a completely healthy plant that suddenly gets sick, there must be a reason. And yeah. So it's better, in my opinion, it's better to work on solving that problem that caused the fungal infection. Often it's neglect. It's not enough water, not enough fertilizer, all these things. Okay, so let's start with the sowing out here. I want to do these 2 containers, but you can scale this up a million times. You can sit here, that's how I sometimes do it in winter. I put 30 or 40 of these containers, fill them with soil, put them in the bags, and then I start sowing out. I try to put the bag around the sowing soil and the container first, because like before I put in the seeds, because it gives me already like a little bit of, I don't know, it helps with finding the perfect spot for the seeds. So you just, you can easily just go there and spread them a little bit, and the bag kind of leads you where the cracks around are, which you need to avoid, because seeds that fall in cracks are usually gone. They eventually will expire down there. Okay, so yeah, let's do more here. This is a good cross of a cool, huge flowering hybrid that I crossed with Flying Saucer, and I want to see what comes from it. So we will be sowing out that cross today, and we will be sowing out more. I think every time I'm sowing out, I'm filming it and putting it on the channel. I mean, it's not that much of work. I gotta do it anyway. So I wanna take this channel and make it to something special. So we will have a real life of a cactus breeder here, and it will be horrible. Okay, yeah. So these 2 have seeds. Now they need labels, and I already cut them. There's some bigger ones like this. Oh, I already cut it. So let me. Here's some more. These, and these are blue. And they are they suck because I cannot read it. I just put them here in case I run out of everything else. And yeah, here's a white one. And I need to buy new ones. I bought some from China, and they are not usable. You can't write on them. It's like there's protection against writing on them. So I need new ones. Okay, so I want to write. Now I get a pencil, not a text marker, because I don't know, that the text markers often vanish. They are often like water soluble, or they do not stand the use of, for example, a pesticide or a fertilizer. And I don't even use a lot, I barely use any pesticides, and but it's still, if you decide to do it and you suddenly have no more labels in your greenhouse, that's a problem. So only pencil. It's old school, but it's still the best. So this cross is Mystery Trichocereus. This is from 2024, Black Season cross, Black Cactus season. Flying Saucer. So Mystery Plant flying saucer crossed with flying saucer, and here the same 2416. Okay. And I recommend getting big labels, not so big that they stand out of the bag, which is something that you really must keep in mind when buying like the labels, the tags. But overall, you should get bigger ones so they are not washed away easily, which is a problem that I had in the beginning. I just felt like, hey, why do I need to use these huge like labels when I can cut them down into smaller ones? And in the end, you are looking for them all the time. You do not find them in the pot, or they are washed out. So washing out a huge factor. So buy something that's longer than what I have here. But it's the only stuff that I currently have left. So yeah. Okay. These are already done. Put the camera a little bit more closely. Okay. Yeah. So let's get this one here. Water sprayer. And yeah, like I said, a little bit of disinfectant, but not much. And not too firm. Slowly starting to water. To make sure that it's not getting too much, that the seeds are not washed away. Slowly. Then you're waiting. Let the water sink in for a while. It needs a little bit of time to just sink in, and the reason for that is because the humidity level of the soil is not perfect right now. It's not perfect like the way out of the bag. It's often is. You see here, there's water standing on top here, and this is not good. It's pooling, and I don't want stuff to pool on my sowing out stuff. So yeah, we can remove the bag here, but you can just scale it up. The more you need, just get like 5 bags. Sow out 1,000,000 cacti if you like. I would not do it because it's so much work, but yeah, do it. So okay, you always need to look at the bottom and how much water is in there. I recommend that you do not let water pool in there too much at the bottom. In the beginning, when you're watering for the first time, you can do it, sure, but it should not be too much. Otherwise, the soil will rot. And I mean, you keep it in a closed bag anyway, so the risk that it rots is lower. You have like this special sowing soil with peat, and that is more resistant to rotting. So yeah, there are also other options to sow out. You can sow out in coconut and all this kind of like stuff. I stopped using coconut fiber because I always got fungal infections with it. I don't know. It maybe the product that I had was overaged, something in that regard, but I had a very particular type of fungal infection, like a cobweb type of fungal infection that often occurred on coconut fiber. So I stopped using coconut fiber and just went back to classic sowing soil. I also used washed pumice, and we discussed this in another video already. So there will be more videos about it on my channel. Everything will always be like sometimes brought up again because it's a year round. It starts like you do the whole work every year, and it starts from the next year. So we're doing that all together. in cycle. Yeah, and these are okay. So now I feel like the water, the humidity is all right. You really need to keep an eye on the humidity that's in there, because very often when you water for the first time, the water sinks in and it's not enough water to get everything humid to the way below, to way down. So you have a wet top and a dry bottom, and that is not good either, because it takes the water from the seedlings, from the seeds later. It's like the water will sink deeper long term, and then you do not have enough water at the top layer where it's kind of necessary, especially when the seedlings are a little bit bigger. They need a lot of water early on. They can dry out so fast. Cactus seedlings are so sensitive. So let me get a few seedlings to show you, to compare and all. Okay, so I brought 2 different bags of seedlings from my previous season that I've grown during the winter, and I want to show you how they look compared to what we've done now. Okay, so over here, the left one is bigger ones. These are already a little bit older, and they are big enough to be moved out. I'm waiting to move them out today. There's a little bit moss around here, but it's not affecting the health. And actually, sometimes it can help, but since it overgrows the seedlings, see, there's seedlings below, it needs to be removed, and that's what I will do when I move it out. So this one, the left one, the seedlings, these are maybe 4 months old, under a strong lamp. You can see the spines. A strong lamp will bring out healthy spines, because the seedlings produce these spines also for protection against the sun, and a good lamp produces a very nice spination. Okay, so here, these are younger, and you can very nicely see here. This is pretty early in the development cycle. You can see this, the seedlings on the right here are younger, have germinated a little bit later than the ones on the left. Sometimes you put seeds in and you have delayed germination. So 2 different kind of ages, and because the ones on the right are so small, I still need to keep them in. These maybe 3 months, maybe 2, but definitely no, must be 3 months. They just probably had like less light. So light is a huge thing, and I recommend not sowing out too much at once, because you need the space under the lamp. They need to be perfect under the lamp. You cannot like put a grow lamp somewhere like way at the top and just like create different kind of like light situations, some in the shadow, some like half shade, some full sun. It's best to just like put the lamp over the seedlings straight, to give them like a nice strong light, and this needs to be done safely. So some lamps get too hot for seedlings, so you need to pick a grow lamp that does not get hot. Like a LED lamp often does not get hot. It depends. Some LED lamps can be too much for seedlings too. So keep a close eye on what kind of lamp you get. There's so many every year. We get 1 million new lamps, and all are interesting. So the future is interesting for growing inside. Like you can get so many amazing lamps and all. You know, it's a great situation to be a breeder inside. But yeah, this is how they will look in a few months. Right now, we will close these up. Labels in there, water's in there, disinfectant is in there. And then I put these in front of my heater. the home heater that I have here, it creates a temperature between 25 and 29 degrees Celsius in that room where I'm sowing out. And that's important because the temperature cannot be too hot. It cannot be too cold. The room where you start sowing out, where you do your sowing out and the actual germination, you need to pick a room that you can easily control. The temperature needs to be right. If the temperature is too hot, it can cause problems, especially later on. I try to wake them up with hot temperatures very early. Like I put them straight in front of the heater. Sometimes I put a little LED lamp on top with a little bit of distance to give them light. And in the first phase, when the seeds are not alive yet, not fully, when you do not have seedlings yet, they can take more heat than later on. The moment you have a little seedling like this, the ones that I've shown you, they are super sensitive to heat. They will, in the wrong heat setting, in the wrong environment, they will continuously get smaller and smaller, more reddish. Color changes on cactus seedlings, always a stress indicator. So I would keep a close eye on that. And yeah, overall, I mean, these come in front of the heater, maybe a little bit of light or in front of a window, but the moment you have direct sunlight hitting this, it dries the top layer. The sun that's hitting this soil is very often causing like a humidity level in the soil, in the upper layer of the soil that's just not perfect. It reduces, in my opinion, direct sunlight for germinating seeds is not good. I would never everything I've ever tried, like germinating in full sun, full frontal sun, not a chance, even in bags. So it's best to like pick the spot that's a little bit on the side, a little bit shady, little, you know how it is. Like you have all these different kinds of spots in your house or in your grow room or in your greenhouse, and these need a very particular kind of setting. A little bit of shade, but also sunlight. They need sunlight. They just don't need it like blasting them from the top without protection for the whole day. They can also take a little bit of sunlight every day, but there's a limit. These are tiny seedlings, and in nature, you need, I don't know, tens of thousands of plants to get a large one, because the rate of survival is so low for cactus seedlings. And of course, if you recreate the situation from nature, if you put like the blasting sun, put them in the blasting sun, you will have a similar outcome. But with the right spot, you can grow cactus seedlings inside the house, wherever. You could grow these en masse in a space station with the right setup and all. But of course they need water and all, fertilizer. I do not do a lot of fertilizing when they are in the bag, but I start once I take them out. Inside the bag, a little bit of fertilizer is okay. The nutrients in the soil when you sow out probably are enough for maybe a month. And after that, you should give them something to help. It helps keeping them healthier. And yeah, we will do fertilizing in another chapter, in another video. But generally speaking, I don't want to put too much nutrients in a closed bag, because the nutrients are also available to stuff like algae, like fungi, and all that kind of stuff that can get infected, that can cause problems in a closed container. Also, you give all kinds of pests something nice to live on. So yeah, you need to be careful with nutrients early on. Too strong concentrations of fertilizer can also burn them instantly. You would water and fertilize them, and 2 weeks later they have melted. So that's important too. Yeah, I mean, we now have these 2 containers in our bags. We'll put these in front of the heater. And temperature, maybe 27, 28 is a nice temperature, 29. Everything below 30. 31 gets already like dangerous for seedlings. I try to avoid it at all costs. Heat damage is one of these things. So many people fail to recognize heat damage on seedlings. They just say, yeah, it was a fungal infection. No, the fungal infection was just taking care of the dead material that was burned by the sun. So, or by the fertilizer, whatever, you know. You literally have a hard time distinguishing a fungal infection that is systemic from a fungal infection that is just like a secondary symptom from, for example, sunburn. So they will be in this bag for 2 or 3 months until they are big enough to survive on their own. And what I consider big enough is what you've seen here, the bigger ones. But also they cannot be in direct sunlight at the beginning. You need to get a little bit like slowly. You need to take the time. I'm such an impatient guy, but for seedlings you must take the time. It just doesn't help. Yeah, and that's pretty much everything that you should know to get started. This is just the intro. So we will take this subject into greater detail. We will experiment with different mediums, and we will sow out all kinds of different seeds. I'm not sure how many episodes I do every month or so, but when we do one, it will like get specific. I want to talk specifics. I want to just use this as a interesting, like, I don't know what I'm trying to do. I'm trying to build a library of interesting stuff. Okay, thank you for tuning in, guys. I appreciate it. Yeah, this will go like just on a normal channel, but the next one will go to the members area again. I just want everyone to know what we're doing, and it's going to be good. I mean, some of the knowledge, like the experience that you just gain from losing many seedlings, from making so many bad decisions in the early years. It just is a learning experience, and at some point, now I can finally say that I feel like we can do this course, and we can do it in a very nice way, in an interesting way. So, yeah. Thank you for being here. I appreciate it. Also, thank you for watching the channel. We will continue with Cactus of the Day this week, but it's currently cold. Outside, I have the greenhouse doors closed, and I don't know. I'm waiting for it to get warmer again so we can continue doing real stuff. And until then, I will do a few more videos inside. For the future, I also want to do more identification videos. I have a few things that I always wrote, but writing is not, I don't know. I want to speak these things out so they are alive. It gives everything a life of its own. It makes the subject more easy to take in. Big fan of video courses and all, doing videos, just enjoying and sharing knowledge and all. And that's what I want to do. Okay, thank you for being here. If you want to support the channel, I have a Patreon at patreon.com/cactusjerk, and you can also support the channel via YouTube. And yeah, a lot of other ways. I have a website at trichocereus.net where I sometimes sell like books, but I only work I have to like keep my workload under control, or it gets too much, and I want to avoid that. So yeah, just a little bit here and there. Thank you guys. Bye.